It's 8 p.m. on a weekday night at your mom's work, and you're playing Jackie Chan Adventures on your Game Boy Advance. Suddenly, your batteries die, and the worm light atop your GBA fizzles out forever. You poke your head out the doorway into the empty hallway and say to yourself, I need stimulation. And so your journey begins. You run up and down the halls of the office building, you make potions in the office kitchen with all the creamers and coffees, and you fiddle the handles of all the doors to see which one is open, until you find one that is. And inside are a dozen desks with a dozen desktop computers. You plop yourself down, hit that power button, and it's there that you're met with Wildtangent. Back in the day, many computers didn't have a GPU. It's not like today where every computer has an on-built GPU that comes standard with the CPU, and you don't even need an external one. Back then, if you didn't have a GPU, the games you could play were quite limited. It was either Doom, Abuse, Worms Armageddon, and Wildtangent games. Wildtangent was everywhere. The game pre-installed on many computers at that time, and Dell and HP were at the forefront of this. Trial versions of their games pay them the money and then give you the opportunity to buy the full game if you liked it. Pre-built demos. Now, for a kid who didn't have any money, this was awesome. No longer did I have to play crappy Flash games. Now I could play real 3D polygonal games. Oh my goodness. Starting with Polar Bowler. Now, if you ever wanted to see somebody that looked like the very distillation of the early 2000s, goofy sunglasses, loud Hawaiian shirt, anthropomorphic talking animal. Yeah, this right here. This is the early 2000s to a T, and this was essentially the mascot of Wildtangent games. Now, they put him in a variety of games like a golfing, tubing, and pool at some points, but bowling is where he really got his start. It's a fairly simple bowling game. You pull back, you let him go, and you pick up power-ups along the way where you try to knock down all the pins. Bowling games at that time were surprisingly popular. Like, people would buy standalone games that were just bowling. Elf bowling was really popular. This game was also super popular. And in full-fledged games like GTA 4, it would be a side activity you could do. And it was fun.
Nico, it's Roman. Let's go bowling.
The physics of this is what really blew my mind. Now, it sounds ridiculous, but back then, having pins interact with each other and topple all over the place like real bowling pins, oh my god, it was the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. I was like, yes, I love this, and I played hours and hours and hours of this game despite the very rudimentary gameplay. I mean, it's pretty good. Dark Orbit was one of the scariest games I ever played as a kid because there was no music. You run around this decrepit alien world with only the hum of space and the skittering of alien legs running around as you blast them to smithereens. It was a harrowing experience, and it greatly reminded me of the Transformers Beast Wars game that came out for the PlayStation 1. That was the same sort of vibe. Empty, sparse, but at the same time, absolutely terrifying. There's something about letting your imagination fill in the gaps that makes something way scarier, and Dark Orbit did that perfectly. Now, I was quite impressed by the way the ship steered because it had actual momentum to it. It's very floaty, it's very heavy, but in the best ways of both. You have yourself going around this anti-gravity space, and it really does feel like you're on another planet as you set fire to everything on board. It's amazing. Even though there's not a whole lot of stuff going on, you exploring that space and you looking for power-ups and charge shots and different weapons and killing aliens and all that stuff, that makes the game really fun and interesting, and it makes you want to explore what else is in this world. You ever heard the saying sex sells? Well, they were talking about Betty Bad, a Tempest 2000 ripoff that has you revolving around killing more space bugs. The best Wildtangent games all involved you killing aliens or bugs, or having a specifically hot woman, like this lady right here. Oh, Dommy Mommy, Dommy Mommy, Dommy Mommy, 100%. Betty Bad looks like she would crush you and just like make you suffer and beg for more. Oh, it was the best thing ever. Wildtangent made this game for horny teenagers. I would know. I was one of them, and it's the only reason I played it. Now, the gameplay is quite claustrophobic because you never really leave this tube. Everything you do, you just go from door to door to door, blasting aliens, collecting points, and getting different weapons in the process, but it is really fun. This highlights one of the best things about Wildtangent games was its pick up and play appeal. You don't have to know anything about the game or read a whole lot about it to immediately pick it up, play it, and enjoy it. And that's where they excelled, by making these quick, short burst games that anybody could play and anybody could enjoy. There's absolutely no Rule 34 of Betty Bad. It's been 20 years and no one's made a single lewd of Betty Bad? What is wrong with you? And of course, you can't talk about Wildtangent games without their biggest hit of all, Fate. Basically, a Diablo ripoff for kids. And I'm not kidding, it's the same UI, it's the same item management system. Even when you pick up a weapon and drop it, it makes that same whipping sound. Everything about this game was ripped directly from Diablo 2, but it gave you so much content for free that for people that couldn't afford Diablo 2 at that time, like me, you got a lot of enjoyment out of it. No one had this cutesy DreamWorks style RPG out there. A lot of it was like very dark and very brooding like Diablo 2, a lot of satanic imagery, oh, very spooky, but this one was much more lighthearted. It also had a fishing game that was the business. Bro, I used to play this fishing game more than I actually played the real dungeon crawling aspects of it. You just sit there, you fish, you get a whole bunch of things, you eat them up, oh, it's so great. It reminds me of fishing in old school RuneScape, where you would just sit there at the pier and fish and try to get your fishing level up as much as possible. It's a very repetitive activity, but at the same time, it's soothing and it's relaxing and very cozy. The combat, the depth, the amount of things you can do in this game, like there's tons of quests. This is a long game. It's like 30, 40 hours long. At that time, I would get 1 or 2 Game Boy games a year. I get one for my birthday and I get one for Christmas. So unless I was getting like Golden Sun or Batten Kaitos, I would be done with those games within a couple of days. But this would give me hours and hours of gameplay for free. I never played for any of this stuff, which, man, I feel bad for Wildtangent because I promise you they did not get a whole lot of money out of kids, but they got a lot of enjoyment and fun and memories, and for that, Wildtangent, I salute ya. They stream on YouTube, believe it or not. You can go to their channel, you can talk to the developers, and they'd be like, hey, yeah, hi, how you doing? Yeah, we made the game, you like it? Keeping it wild, that's the way I like it.
Lullaby of Berlin, a whisper low, kiss me sweet, and we'll go flying high in Berlin, high in the sky up above, all because we're in love.